Well, what's going on, traders? Welcome back to the one and only Start Swing Trade, where we talk a little bit about some swing trading action, just a tiny bit. I got 9 swing trades on right now. We'll talk a little bit about them. I got 3 in the red, 6 in the green. We'll talk a little bit about those names coming up, but stay tuned. I do have Nick Brown in the back. He'll be joining me in just a few seconds to give you some highlights from, of course, Jerome Powell's conference as the FOMC released the report. I got some highlights myself. We'll get into them with Nick in just a few minutes. You guys smash the like out there. How we doing, traders? It looks like you guys were enjoying, of course, catching up with Jerome Powell. I don't know about you guys, but I was having a little lunch and listening in. And looks like we got some other names definitely getting the move. So let's get right to some Fed talk, and then we'll get into the stock market. We'll take a look at what's moving on this. And maybe, who knows, will we get a power hour rally here? Who knows, really? I mean, we definitely got the little pullback. There's some whipsaws going back and forth here on the SPY. You guys can clearly see that. Now the only question is, will we get right back up to that 456? Will Google recover, right? I kind of like this right here. I'm not going to lie, but I'm not going to be here battling these tech stocks. I don't know which way the things are going to go, but I can tell you one thing. There is one tech stock that's looking really well for me. Micron. We talked about that yesterday. So we'll get into that swing trade in a little bit, but let's go ahead. Let's get out of the markets for just a little bit. Let's bring on my man, Nick Brown, as he go ahead and gives us a report from the FOMC conference. How we doing, Nick?
Good afternoon, Mitch. Good afternoon, everybody. What a busy afternoon it has been since 2 o'clock. So as we all know, the Fed hiked interest rates by 25 basis points when the report came out at 2 p.m. Some highlights from that is they all voted in favor to do 25 basis points. They say economic activity has been expanding at a moderate pace. Job gains have been robust in recent months. Unemployment rate has remained very low. They say we'll continue to assess additional information, implications for monetary policy, and then the future actions depend on tightening impact, economic and financial developments. We have seen that in Chair Powell's press conference. And so it's just some highlights from the chairman himself. He basically says that full effects of tightening yet to be felt. Housing sector picked up, but well below 2022 levels. FOMC to take data-dependent approach on future hikes. Getting back to 2% has a long way to go. We'll make decisions meeting by meeting. Will likely require a period of below trend growth and some labor market softening. And some other headlines, Mitch, that are coming out was one that we haven't made any decisions about any future meetings. This was a live meeting. He did confirm that. But June CPI was welcome, but was only 1 month's report, so nothing to look into too much. And two headlines that are catching everybody's attention that I caught was one, Powell says that the FOMC carefully monitoring conditions in the banking sector. That was in response to a question regarding the Bank of California and PacWest merger. And the other headline that's gaining a lot of traction here is Powell says he doesn't see inflation back at 2% until about 2025. The low of the day for SPY was at 3:09 p.m. And those headlines were right near each other. And we've also seen that the bulls could actually come out and say, hey, we actually have something to ponder on, because he says that the Fed staff is no longer forecasting a recession and not using the term optimism, but there is a path to a soft landing. So right there, the bulls can come out and say, hey, the Fed staff themselves, no recession, even though the Fed is like, a little bit of a recession. But also, inflation is coming down and the banking sector is holding up very well. Unemployment rate is still very low. I believe 3.6% is still at this level when they first hiked interest rates back. Yeah. So the bulls have some room to run here. The market spiked, not really knowing why. It's kind of the same stuff that we heard from the FOMC statement back in June. Coming to look at the statement, not much change, not much red. So it's like a carbon copy, as Steve Leisman from CNBC put it. It's a carbon copy that we got today. And so market spiked, not really knowing why. But on the other hand, you could come out and say, hey, bulls, Fed staff no longer forecasting a recession. Inflation's coming down, meeting by meeting, and banking sector's overall in a healthy condition.
Yeah, I think it's very important to kind of keep watch of what can we kind of keep watch to give us some a little bit of a data read right now, right? Is looking into what the Fed Watch tool, right?
Yeah.
I look at the Fed Watch tool all the time to take a look at after speaks like this. What can come next, right? And I think that that's the important thing to think about here as we start looking forward to what September's meeting, right? I think that's something that we'll be watching right now. 77% chance right now for a 25 basis point hike there. But look at the surprise here. There is a 22% chance of a 50 basis point there. That's something that has been slowly rising since the beginning of June. You can see that was only at 10%, now rising to 22%. And what I like to also look forward to is what the dot plot, right? Things like that. The chart there will start to show you where things are expected to kind of peak, right? And then where they're expected to go to. So if anything, you see what? You see in 24, maybe majority of them saying that they could get it down to a 4.5. But let's just be honest. That's not going to be the biggest cut either, right? We're only talking about maybe a point and a half getting cut there. So I think, on the longer run, we got to keep watching. When will this really start to come down, right? When will we actually get cuts? You can go into probabilities and you can see here, when does it start showing ease percentages not showing up now until March 24. Do you remember earlier this year, they had this in December, Nick?
Yes. But I will say, Mitch, though, that Tom Lee from Fundstrat, he has been arguing for a while that this CPI report that's going to be coming in July in the next week or two, I think it's even, I don't know, this week or next week, that the July CPI report, too, is actually going to show more inflation slowing. And so this kind of game that Powell is playing, I don't want to say it's a game, but alluding that inflation's not going to get back down to 2% till like 2025. I think I don't really agree with that. I think that we're seeing inflation is slowing, but we also have to look at the risks. We do see commodity prices going back up again. And I've been alluding to this on live trading, and we've been chatting about this, that commodity prices going up could actually show inflation edging higher, but overall inflation is coming down. And I think that meeting by meeting is going to have to be the case because Jackson Hole is coming in August. This is the longest blackout period we get because we don't get another meeting in August. But September and November, two critical months regarding do they hike in September, skip in November, or is it vice versa? Skip in September, hike in November. There's a lot of questions that he kind of alluded to, but really didn't give answers to because they don't even know themselves. So right now, a lot of Wells Fargo already out with a note moments ago saying this is their last hike, but this is the last hike that they see. They wouldn't be surprised if they see another hike or two. And Adam Crisafulli from Vital Knowledge also says that this is the final hike. Staff no longer forecasting a recession. Cuts can commence before 2% is hit. So maybe the new 3% is the new 2% inflation target, but also we'll have to see that inflation is coming down, and that will be a confirmation for the Fed saying, hey, we can stop because inflation is near our target level.
Well, thank you for coming in with the report. Like always, going to be coming in and giving us some good headlines to definitely catch. Always appreciate you. Nick Brown, News by Nick. And we'll definitely bring you back on. Another little drop of those bombs. Brown coming in with them. And I think it's very important that you catch a lot of different outlook, right? Even in the different medias and what's being heard out in the on Wall Street, right? I think it's definitely important to catch that. Now we'll see what happens with the reaction. Thank you, Nick Brown. We'll bring you back, my friend. All right, let's take a look into the markets here. And you guys can see the SPY starting to come back, right? Starting to work its way to the upside. And I feel like we could just start pushing back towards the upside. And a big part of me, what I'm kind of keeping an eye on is stocks like Microsoft starting to come back, right? And I think that that's something to keep an eye out for, because if it comes back right back above the 340s, I talked about that yesterday, that would be kind of the levels that I could see Microsoft recovering and going back towards the upside. So I'm keeping an eye on these stocks. Of course, Google today, and kind of holding in and not even retracing much, right? Look at this hourly chart. This hourly chart has been holding all day. I'm going to look to see if this takes up towards the upside, but the hourly is looking really well on Google. Another thing to kind of mention, right, is use your fibs. If you draw to the point to the peak there, what are you guys seeing? I'm seeing a 38.2% retracement and nothing further. What does this show me? It's staying in the top quartile of the pressure here and could keep going to the upside. We'll see what happens here on Google if it can take that next step up. But I talked about it this morning. This doesn't look bad there for Google, and it could keep pushing towards the upside. Apple also staying strong today. You guys can see it here. It's been strong pretty much all day. I want to see if it can keep going right back towards those highs where it just ripped out to around the 195.50s, but doesn't look too bad there. And we could look around, right? Microsoft starting to come back. Tesla now starting to come back towards the upside. Will Amazon get back into the green, right? The big boys, if they stay in the green, we won't be looking too bad. Nvidia turning back towards the upside. This is why I don't want to be shorting so much of this market. Trust me, a little part of me today was like, Mitch, go after that SQQQ. Get after it. They're going to drill these tech stocks. No, but I told myself, calm down there, Mitch, because the truth is, we're still in a bull market environment. We're still in this euphoric market. The bubble hasn't gone pop. Now, are we starting to really start looking to see if AI is going to play at the revenues on the bottom, right? Is it going to show up at the bottom? Well, that's one thing that we need to be taking a look at, because Microsoft even giving us a little bit warnings there that it could gradually make its way towards revenue, right? That it doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be the huge revenue boost right now. I think that's something to keep an eye out for. We'll see what else is going on. MD saying we need some more Nick. I think we always can use a little bit more Nick. Let's keep going. We'll take a look at some of the stocks that you guys are mentioning in the chat. We'll get into some of the swing trade action. I did see some mentioned earlier. What are those 6 that are in the green? Let's talk a little bit about those stocks. And of course, if you guys have any stock that you guys want to talk about, go ahead. Let me know, guys. We can definitely talk a little bit about them. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's get into Valet a little bit here today. I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about my leading position towards the upside right now, percentage-wise, which is Valet. Let's get into that one. That one holding 15 on pullbacks today. It made a slight move to 14.95s. I even set a stop here at 14.90s just in case. After this 14.95 attempt and it started to hold 15, I looked at the daily chart and I said, you know what? I want this to hold 15. I want this to try to close above yesterday's high, or even just to close 15.16. We're almost there right now. We're at 15.16. This isn't looking too bad. Of course, I did close CCJ in the Moomoo account. That's actually looking really good as that starts going back towards the upside. So I opened a new position today. This is actually one of them that's in the red. So I'm going to see if this can go from red to green for me, which is Tech Resources. I talked about this one yesterday, how it had that little pop up above the trend line. It came back to that trend line. So I'm going to go ahead and risk off the 42 here, looking for a move back up above 44s and really a move to like 46 here. We'll see if it can start getting up there. This is Tech Resources and Industrial Metals and Minerals, and should move similar to CCJ and Valet. A little bit more expensive, of course, Tech. We'll look to see if it can get right back up there. I have an average of 42.58 team, so down about almost a percentage on this one. We'll see what happens there in Tech Resources. Let's keep going. Let's go back to the green. Let's go to Micron Technologies, my best technology stock right now. I've been seeing the volume get into this one, and I talked about it yesterday, how I saw this volume spike and was looking for this to keep going. This is Micron Technologies, and now it's looking like it really starting to get going here. I'm going to look for a move even further from this, towards kind of 70. I'm up already 2% on this. I got this at 65.92s. So I'm up close to about $1.50 on the name. But the nice little breakout today. So as long as this can kind of keep holding now 66, this is looking well for me to continue climbing. We'll look to see if it gets back through that 67.86. Going there towards 69. Once we get to like 69, I could take some profit, as I do think that we could run past 70, but I do want to make sure that we gain some profits on this one and then look for it to continue working. And this is Micron Technology. Why did I get in this one yesterday? Because I thought that Google would be able to hold on. Microsoft would be able to hold on even on downside action. And it looks like we're starting to work our way back in Microsoft. We'll look to see if we can recover 340 today. That actually would be a decent close there for Microsoft. All right, let's keep going. We'll catch up with the chat. How we doing out in the chat? Jay Rice, hope there aren't interest-only ones. What are you guys taking a look at in the chat? I see a lot of new comments, so let me scroll down there. I see some stocks rolling up there. Elf, Coke. There's a lot going on. I'll take some stocks and leave some ticker time in just a little bit. Life Lessons, definitely enjoyed your segment, Nick, so I wanted to give you the shout out there. Let's keep it going. You know where you're at. Money Mitch, of course. Let's see what else is going on. All right, let's go to the different stocks, of course. So I talked about Valet. I've talked about Micron. I've talked about one of my losing positions, which is tech. Let's keep it going. Let's go to the next one here, which is Ross Stores. Ross Stores, I'm actually doing pretty well in today. As this starts to climb, this is looking like it's doing well, but I'm really looking for the lift off to 115. Today, we definitely started to get a little bit of a better push, got there towards 113.55. I'm in at 110.97, so we can just round that to 111. At least starting to get away from my entry, right? Now I'm decently up almost 2% on this position. Going to look for it to keep climbing just a little bit more. Above that 114, I'll take some profit and then just leave the rest break even to see if it wants to continue to run, and that's Ross Stores. What did I talk about with Ross Stores? I want to see TJX get the lift. And this isn't really getting the biggest lift right now. So I'm going to keep an eye on it to see if it can keep pushing towards the upside. But as long as this one holds right now, that's what I want to see. Just not breaking the 9 EMA on TJX and looking like it wants to keep making the move. Always make me some money, Mitch. That's what I'm here for. RS, like always. Just keep an eye out. Understand the rotations in this sector industry, and you just might find some edge right here on Start Swing Trade, of course. Let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other action in the market. I've talked about 3 of my winning positions. Let's go to another one here. Let's go to BJ. As I talked about yesterday, BJ Wholesale Club. I've actually been adding to this position, looking for the big move. Today, not too bad. It did get up there to 65.50s. I'm really looking for the run to 66. But as long as it can kind of keep holding in here around the 65s, not really get back down below the 64.50s, we'll be looking pretty good. I actually set a stop here around the 64.50s to get out if I need to, but really looking for the move through 66 and 67. Once we can get through 66, I'll be looking to take some profits as we work our way to 67 and 70 eventually. We'll see what happens there on BJ Wholesale Club. All right, let's keep going. There's another one that I got into the green today, and that was PXD. So not bad. This one actually looking pretty good. A nice little setup now as I start seeing what nice little bottoming action around the 218. Don't want to see that kind of break. It did pull back the 215.89, somewhere in that 216 area. We got a nice little bounce. This morning, we go to 217.04s. So now I'm going to really start looking for those numbers to hold, these hold numbers to really start leading this higher. PXD, not looking too bad. Swing trade. All right, let's keep going. I do have a couple more positions to go through, just slightly up on Hyatt. Took this one yesterday. It had a nice little opening action and went to a high of 122.46. I'm looking for another run towards that 123s and then looking for it to go a little bit higher towards that 124. Then I can start taking some profits as I look for a nice little 4-point winner here on Hyatt and risk about what? About a point. I'm in at 120.08. So I'm risking down there towards that kind of 119, 118.70 area. Doesn't look too bad here on Hyatt. We'll see if it can keep going. All right, let's go to CENX. This is one that I'm just slightly down in. I'm down about a penny. So I think this one could really move as I'm looking at Alcoa. That's the one that I'll keep watch. I want to see this get the lift tomorrow back above the 35s, going towards the 37s. If I could get that lift in Alcoa, I think I end up getting that lift in CENX. Of course, we're talking aluminum here in basic materials. And there's one last one that I'll talk about. These are all the swing trades. And I'm sorry I got so many, team. I've been trying to extend myself and try to push myself a little bit on the swing trade actions. So you guys out there, smash the like. I went after American Airlines today on the pullback. And why am I going after American Airlines? It seemed pretty decent on the daily to maybe take a shot off this kind of 50 moving average. So that's closer towards down there towards the 1638s, but we started to get back above. I'm looking for a move above 17s. Got here 1679s. Really don't even want to see this get back below 1650s. Would like to see this get right up there towards 17 and start working its way back towards 18. This will be looking good. American Airlines. All right, that's going to be it for the swing trade action. Let's get into the sector and rotations out there. Utilities leading, actually, financial services leading to the upside today, of course. Some of these stocks definitely took another step up. JPM taking another step up. Goldman Sachs taking another step up. So a lot of these kind of making a nice little move here. Let's go to Goldman Sachs there. You can see that nice little lift off. KRE going towards 49 tells me all I need to see there, as I'm really starting to see some of these kind of regional banks take up to the upside here. EWBC with a nice 5% move today. So it looks like these banks are really starting to come out of the rut. So we'll see what happens there. PNC was one that I started talking about around the 130s that I like. That's been slowly climbing. Nice little pullback today to 133, closing right now towards the 136. And just got a recent pop off that Fed mention, of course, in the banking, how it didn't seem that much of concern. This one doesn't look too bad there. PNC with a nice little pullback opportunity today off the hourly support and right back up there to 136. All right, let's keep going. That's financial services, regional banks doing well there. Also, global banks doing well. And we'll continue to watch asset management stocks like Morgan Stanley. Those are pulling back right now. At least Morgan Stanley is. Goldman Sachs was pulling back earlier. I think we're starting to top out a little bit in this bank trade, as I now see what? I see a little bit of a triple top here on Goldman Sachs around the 360s. So it doesn't seem bad for me to maybe swing this overnight right back down, but I'm not going to take that shot right now. It's just too much to be short overnight in the bull market where it just keeps wanting to go higher. All right, let's get out of asset management. Of course, consumer cyclical also making a move today. You guys can keep your eyes on certain stocks there. Recreational vehicles, textile manufacturing, and gambling stocks leading the move there. DraftKings still holding on, guys, and we're almost to the football season. So if this can hold on until football season, DraftKings is looking great here. We'll see if it can keep pushing. Of course, that's the Donkey Kong. You guys know where that's at. We'll see if it can keep pushing there. Of course, not looking too bad there is DraftKings. And I've talked about how the casinos have been staying strong, and we could take a look at resorts and casinos here as they try to keep pushing here. MGM has been a recent really good move, and that's continuing some strength there. LVS starting to bounce back. Caesar, I've talked about how this looks really decent as it starts to push here through 60. We'll look to see if it can stay strong here. All right, real estate behind that, not really a sector that I watch too often, so I'm going to keep moving to industrials. This is an area that I definitely started seeing some hit. Lockheed Martin yesterday took a little bit of a hit, looking for the short. And then, of course, what happens? It happens today, guys. It starts getting hit today. So Lockheed Martin now down to 452. We'll look to see if this can continue to leak. I'd be a little bit careful in the defensive area as we're starting to see some leak. Like even LHX, this could come right back down there through that 200. We'll see what happens there. This looks like a little bit of a head and shoulders top action on the intraday. We'll look for a cut down through the 202. Be careful out there. Boeing is the one that I've talked about. I really like now, and I've turned and flipped. I've been really bullish on Boeing, and there you guys see it. Another lift higher through the open. And I thought this could continue to lift Boeing. You know, I know that the report is not the best, but the airlines are doing well. If the airlines are doing well, they're going to go buying those Boeing planes. Let's just be honest. And that's why I'm trying to take some shots in the airlines. UAL with a nice little lift here as of late. This actually looking better than all of them today, as I could take another shot maybe in DAL here off the 4635s. That's the only question. Do I want to take more airline exposure right now? I'm going to wait because I'm looking for some deeper time frame pullbacks, but I won't mind just taking one shot on AAL. I just don't want to over leverage in this play. 458, guys. I've left a little bit of time here for some ticker time. I just want to mention some of the downside action today. Technology actually finishing in the red almost here. Basic materials just slightly up. So sideways day in basic materials there. We'll look to see if they can continue going. I was really keeping an eye on BTU was thinking about taking a shot. It's kind of sideways, sticking around here. So in the next day or two, we'll see if we can finally get the lift above 22.75s. I'll keep an eye on basic materials overall to see if they can continue to push. They have been strong, taking a sideways day today. Energy staying strong here, so just keep your eyes on these stocks. I like XOM as it held the 105 pullback today. Of course, I have PXD to try to ride that oil trade, but we'll see if we can ride the oil trade a little bit higher. All right, time to catch up with you guys in the chat. Drop some ticker time. I got you guys. I'll keep going a little bit extra. You guys smash the like out there. That's all you got to do to keep me on for a little bit more. I see T-Doc mentioned in the chat. Who was talking about T-Doc this morning on PreMarket Prep? You guys know your boy, Money Mitch, of course, killing it on T-Doc Outlook this morning, a stock that was not moving at all. And I said, you know what? Look at the volume in this stock. This is giving me a little bit of a sign that it wants to get going here. Let's take a look there. As you see, T-Doc just lift off there almost to 29 today. What a liftoff, guys. This was an 18% move. While I don't think anybody was talking about T-Doc before the open. And what happened here? Well, look at the volume increase. That's what I talked about this morning. I wanted to see the volume destroy this volume where it got a nice little pop on the 18th. Look at the volume today. 37 million shares there in T-Doc. I think somebody jumped on that sleepy trade. The only thing is, I hope you were listening to PreMarket Prep so you're able to catch that little flag that I went waving. I hope somebody was able to nail that trade. It wasn't a bad one. All right, let's keep going. T-Doc, not a bad move there. At least I was mentioning it this morning, way before the move happened. So I hope somebody was able to jump on that. Of course, Meta will be coming in with earnings tonight. You guys got to keep your eyes on those earnings stocks. They'll be coming in. Multiple stocks, CMG. Will the Chipotle continue to the upside? eBay coming in tonight. We'll see if that can continue the lift. I was playing eBay for a while, eventually got out of it. We'll see if it can continue getting the lift as of late. And just kind of catch some stocks in the chat. I can do a couple more here. What else is being mentioned in the chat you guys wanted to look at today? Groupon, I see mentioned in the chat. Is that continuing to run? Yeah, that's continuing to run. This has high short interest. I think this is just kind of getting picked off because of the high short interest. I saw ARKK questions. There was some stocks that were up here. Of course, T-Doc helping ARKK stay higher. I think you just got to keep watch on stocks like Zoom and Roku because those are some of her bigger positions, right? I know everybody watches Tesla on ARKK, but do you watch Roku, right? One of the leading positions here, holding the 70 pullback. We'll look to see if it gets back above 73 tomorrow. That could actually make the move go right back to the upside. So I'm not betting against Kathy here. I'll tell you that much. I betted against Kathy for a long time, and I flipped back to the bull side. I played it up there towards 45. Maybe should have kept holding it, but I'm definitely not playing to the short side here against Kathy. We'll see what happens. All right. Like always, you guys can catch me bright and early on PreMarket Prep. We go over all the action, and I try to do my best to tell you guys what I see in the market, whether it be a play like T-Doc this morning or earlier this week, the China stocks with Baba. Did you guys see Baba today? Not looking too bad there in that call. That was called on Monday when the stock was down here at the 92s. Now the stock at 97. Talked about how potentially you could get a run to 100. So if you're missing PreMarket Prep, I don't know what you're doing. And of course, if you're missing Money Mitch, what you waiting for, guys? Stay right here on Benzinga, of course. If you want to catch more from me, I'll see you bright and early on PreMarket Prep.